Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Hey, Kelly, what's up, man?
I just, I was preparing for this episode. We're going to do a dead end today. And I want to talk about something that sort of is the precursor. I don't think we could even do this podcast if this hadn't been a thing back in the day. It's that important. But I want to ask you a quick question. What do you think the best advice your father ever gave you was?
Oh, wow. This is hard because he listens too. I think the best advice it's not like a saying or a quip or a quote or anything like that, but just the idea of being prepared and being prepared for anything and
Semper Fi?
Sure. But just always like being ready, being ready for stuff and not having
For that question that I just asked?
Yeah, right. Ironically.
Ironic.
Right.
Well, I want to share with you probably the best advice my dad ever gave me. And it's not that deep. It's not that complicated. He said, son, whatever you do in high school, take typing.
You know what? My dad gave me the same advice, actually.
And I remember thinking at the time...
Wait, no. My mom wanted me to take typing, and my dad said no.
That's women's work.
I took Spanish instead. So the compromise, we probably said this before. The
You had to
compromise
type in Spanish?
I bought the software. I had the software video game where I had to type, and I actually learned to type pretty well from that.
Was it somebody Mavis, like Marva Mavis or something, the typing program?
I don't think so. It was like a Space Invaders, but you had to type in the word before the thing shut up.
You're saving the planet by typing. Well, listen, my father told me in 1987, it's our senior year of high school.
Oh, wow.
We're pretty much done with everything. I took calculus that year too, which was stupid. But
Senioritis
has kicked in. I've pretty much done a good job in high school. I don't have much left. My dad's like, you should take typing. It'll be useful. I'm not going to be a writer. I'm not going to get into computers. I'm not going to write software. Yeah. Why should I take typing? Anyway, flash forward now, and I'm a decent typist. How are you at typing?
I'm actually pretty good. I mean, I still look down,
You're not a touch typist.
I don't stare forward. But I probably could. I don't like hunt and peck or anything like that. I mean, I'm pretty good. You don't have to be super fast. But I am. I think I'm pretty good typist.
Okay. Typist. Yeah, you said typer, so that kind of eliminates your pretty
Well,
good
it's not my
theory.
occupation or anything. I'm not a typist.
Well, but nobody really is, right? Everybody uses it today. And the thing that we have to thank for that is the typewriter. Right? Right? The typewriter. It's something that I think our kids will never experience. Certainly our grandkids will never experience a typewriter unless they intentionally go out and try to find one. But the typewriter was a mechanical marvel, right? Mm-hmm. This was something that shaped modern language. It empowered a workforce. It just became something that was synonymous with business for a long time.
And journalism and, and writing.
Everything.
Like books.
Everything. Yeah. Oh, memos, business memos. I mean, this was something that came about that it had been explored for a long time. Now, a lot of people tried to invent something like this for a long time. I mean, there was Pellegrino Turri in 1808. There was William Austin Burt in 1829.
Well, the Gutenberg Bible was those were like
typeset
tiles, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This is back to what we were talking about with Milton Hershey. These were squares that they put onto a big sheet of paper that was plotted.
So the idea behind a typewriter is it'd be cool if that was like mobile and everybody had one of those and you could just do it.
Smaller, one person could do it. Yes. So a guy named Christopher Latham Scholes is credited with inventing the first commercially successful typewriter in 1867, along with, he had two co-inventors, Samuel Soule and Carlos Glidden. Now,
Shoal and Soul?
Scholl, Soule, and Glidden. Sounds like
18 what?
67.
That seems, I would have guessed 100 years before that.
Okay, well, the reason I say that, as I said before, Pellegrino Turri tried to do it in 1808. William Austin Burt tried to do it in 1829. The problem was these were still slower than doing it by hand. So the success was that you could actually type faster than you could write things down.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the key was? The key, I'm using a little pun there, but what was the key to a great typewriter? Starts with a Q. QWERTY.
Yeah.
You know what the QWERTY layout is?
But why? Why is that so efficient? I know now because everybody learns on that, but why is that better than alphabetical order?
Because the reason the QWERTY keyboard worked is because the keys that you were typing, there's letters that are a lot more popular. You know, the E, the S, the M. Those are more popular than the X or the Z, the Z.
So the ones, those are Q. Out in the wilderness. Did you say Zed?
Zed.
You're not Canadian, sir.
I am from A to Z.
So the ones that are least used are out in the wilderness. Although
no. The reason that's not the reason of where they're placed. The reason is because the mechanical devices that would actually strike the paper, if they put it in alphabetical order, those would get jammed. And by doing the QWERTY layout, they sort of laid it out in such a way that the more popular keys, the strikers that would actually hit were further away from other popular strikers. So they separated the popular strikers that would hit the paper so that they didn't get jammed.
It's cool that like your phone has the QWERTY on it now, which, you know, they could. Do you remember though, when texting first started, a lot of those phones and like BlackBerry, I don't know if BlackBerry said this, but it was alphabetical order, right?
They were just A to Z. And
it was confusing.
Oh yeah,
because you weren't used to typing that way.
Especially if you took typing. Right. So in 1873, so they had invented this guy, Christopher Sholes, main inventor. We'll just use his name for now. He patented the rights and he sold it to Remington and Sons. Now you know what Remington and Sons made, right?
Remington.
Yeah. What do you think of when you think of that name? They were gunsmiths.
Guns.
Yeah. So the Sholes and Glidden typewriter, which later became the Remington typewriter, was mass produced by Remington. They were already mass producing rifles, so they switched over to.
Why was that easy? Because they had like metal.
They had the metal. They had the manufacturing
steel,
capabilities. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, and also fairly intricate steel, you know, fairly intricate parts and things, small parts that had to work well together. I mean, this wasn't something that was like a giant stamping machine. This was a tiny little machine with a lot of very intricate parts.
Yeah, that's true. We think of them as later they were like more rugged, but back then they were probably pretty fragile. Yep. And is that the Glidden paint guy or a different Glidden?
Sholes and Glidden. No, it was a different. It was the co-inventor Carlos Glidden that helped. No, nothing to do with Glidden paint. Okay. So the typewriter was invented. It was invented in June of 1868, and then 10 years later, in 1878, there was a major revolution in the typewriter. A big. It was kind of like going from an iPhone 5 to an iPhone 15. Do you know what that was?
Oh, let me see.
It was one thing, one key that they brought in.
The space bar?
The shift key.
Oh, to make caps.
Yes, the shift key would allow you to go from a lowercase to an uppercase, or vice versa.
That was a game changer.
That was a
And that
game
was
changer.
one was at the top of the key and the other one was at the bottom of the key. Was that how it worked? It was the same key or not?
It was no, you would just hold down the shift and then everything after that would be the capital, but the capital was still on the same strike bar.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm calling the strike bar a key, but wasn't it one at the top and one at the bottom?
Yes. It changed. It slightly changed the angle.
That must have been a game changer. Being able to. So before that, was everyone writing in all caps all the time? What was the default?
Yes, I think the original keyboard, the original keys were only capital letters, so and then they were able to change.
Everyone was screaming all the time.
Right, and so they were able to, exactly. But that's a modern thing, right? The screaming in all caps kind of thing.
They didn't take it that way back then. Why are you screaming at me?
So of course, this is the late 1800s, and all of a sudden these bigger businesses are happening, offices are happening, secretarial jobs are happening. Women are beginning to work more and more, and a lot of women are working in the office environment and taking secretarial jobs. They're starting to use these keyboards. Now, the first author to write a manuscript on a typewriter was somebody we talked about earlier.
Earlier today?
Yep. Mark Twain.
Oh.
Life on the Mississippi was written on a typewriter.
That was the first?
He was the first author to submit a typewritten manuscript.
Wow. And what year was that?
I don't know. That would have been somewhere between 1874 and whenever he wrote that book.
And now?
No. So Hemingway, Agatha Christie, they all became big proponents of the typewriter. And, Hemingway was pretty associated with the typewriter. When you think of him, you think of a visual of him typing on a typewriter. Now, that was the mechanical typewriter. The mechanical typewriter had a ribbon that would raise up. The little strike plates would hit. They would hit the paper, and that was that. You know how you corrected those if you made a mistake?
You had to probably throw it out, start over.
Yeah, I think initially, but eventually they had a couple of things. They had whiteout, like this little white that you could put on.
That wasn't invented until the 60s.
And then they 50s, also had the ability to, on some of the later typewriters, these were electric typewriters, the ability to actually click and it would white out whatever mistake you made.
But that came much later.
Yeah, these were the IBM Selectrics. So the IBM Selectrics.
But what about what was Mark Twain doing if he messed up?
Oh, you're probably right. Threw it out. Threw the page out.
You know about whiteout. You know who invented whiteout, right?
I do not.
Oh, it was invented by Michael Nesmith's mom. Michael Nesmith of the Monkees.
From the Monkees. Okay.
Yeah, she invented it in the 50s.
Okay.
56
so
or something.
He was a very wealthy individual before the Monkees.
Yeah, well, that whiteout money, yeah.
Yeah. So eventually these mechanical typewriters, which had these long little bars that would go up with the letters on them and hit, they would physically hit. And you had to push kind of hard. Have you ever used a mechanical typewriter?
Yeah. And you have to push down hard. Yeah, like you're saying.
Yeah, you really have to kind of like push on them, and they're heavy. They have a lot of heft. They have a lot of metal in them.
Like 40 pounds.
So do you know about the IBM Selectric?
Yes.
And in fact, you know what that device was called?
The
inside
track ball?
The golf ball. Yeah, it was a golf ball. And it would rotate. But there was no computerization, no software. No. All this was mechanical that would make it turn around.
I used the one with the ball. I used that in college. That's how old we are.
Yeah. Well, that's what I learned on at Clements High School. My senior year was IBM Selectrics, and it had that little golf ball in it. And that's when you could use whiteout, or I think there was a key on it that would actually correct for you. Like if you made a mistake, you could go back one.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I think that machine, though, got us prepared for word processors, because
It did.
you could do things kind of so facile. You could correct things and make mistakes and backspace and all that. It was getting us prepared for that next for Word Perfect, which was the next step, right? Or whatever.
It was definitely the precursor to word processing, and that's that was the downfall of it in the 1970s and the 80s. There was Wang, there was IBM, which actually cannibalized itself. There was Apple. All of these companies started making these. Texas Instruments started making these computers with word processors, and the big thing with the word processor was you could immediately correct any mistakes. You could make revisions to it. And the biggest thing, you could save it. You could save the document for later.
Sounds so dumb now that that's a big deal, but how revolutionary was that? I mean, talk about a problem that needed to be solved. That, the end of carbon paper and whiteout and all that nonsense, just think about.
Of course, those initial printers were pretty bad. Right. Those initial printers. Yeah, they were pretty awful. They were loud. They were slow.
I don't miss that noise.
No. But that was a big thing. Word processors took over. I think the big thing with typewriters too, though, is a typing pool was a status symbol for a lot of companies. It was the symbol of journalism, like you said before. Journalists were considered to be.
Oh yeah, newsroom. That's what that's the soundtrack of a newsroom, right?
Yep. It was people typing that click, click, clack, and people.
When you worked at KXAN, were they still using typewriters?
KXAN. I didn't have a job that required any sort of. Typing or anything
not
like
you
that.
But the people writing stories. Was it like a new sound?
It was a computer, and the reason I know that is because I would rip the scripts in the morning, which meant I would take the scripts and I would put them onto the teleprompter, and they were physical pieces of paper with they still had carbon paper in the middle of them at that time. But yeah, it was a big change. And typewriters today, there is something very tactile and very satisfying, especially an electric typewriter, when you hit it and you just hear that thwack, that kind of solid sound. Don't you think? Don't you remember that kind of feeling?
Yeah, definitely. Do you know about Tom Hanks' typewriter collection?
No.
He's got he's a known typewriter collector. Okay. He has one of the best typewriter collections around. I think he has 300. I'm looking it up now. He has 300 different portable typewriters spanning the full history of typewriters.
Wow.
And he even had an exhibit where he handpicked a bunch of typewriters and but he's a big typewriter guy.
Imagine telling your date you're going to a typewriter exhibit.
But that's a cool thing to collect, don't you think? I mean, it probably takes a lot of room.
Yeah. If you have a lot of space,
I mean, why not? I mean,
it's a piece of history.
Yeah, I think
we talk about it, so why not collect it? Well, what's funny is much like vinyl and even DVDs are having a bit of a moment, like a comeback today. Vinyl records, physical media is starting to have a comeback, and in that same way, a lot of Gen Z are returning to typewriters.
Oh,
now,
Lord.
The reason is kind of what we just talked about, that satisfying tactile sound and feeling when you actually punch a typewriter key. But the other thing is, the other reason that is not so silly, and I'll say this as, even preparing for this episode, distractions. A typewriter has no distractions built in. Your computer immediately, with pop-ups and email and websites and everything else that's popping up, you have a million distractions, whereas with a typewriter, you just kind of focus, you get in the zone, you lock in, and you go.
But if you really need to get something out, it's like churning your own butter. It's the least efficient way to do something.
Sure, right? Sure. Well, I mean, Gen Z, right? Let's give them a break. Who knows?
So it's interesting that you think that was good advice from your dad, because a person could read it both ways. You could say, it turns out that I didn't really need to learn how to type that fast because word processing came in and I didn't really need to be that, great with it. But I love that you look at it the other way.
I think for instant messaging, for chat, for typing ideas, for word processing, typing fast is a good, taking notes, all of those things. Typing fast, just being able to do it without looking, knowing the ASDF, JKL, SEM, and the QWERTY keyboard, I think is a huge superpower that is going to be relevant today, continue to be relevant. But where it's going to change is when voice dictation gets good enough that you don't need to type anymore.
Little did you know in 1987 that you would be doing most of your typing with your thumbs.
Right. And being told I'm slow at that by my kids. They certainly don't think I'm very good at it. Well, that's Typewriters. If you have a thought about it, check us out. Check out other dead ends and leave us a comment. And I certainly hope if you aren't already downloading every episode of Dirt Nap City, you're doing so now, because we cover these amazing topics that you would never know much about otherwise.
I found an old typewriter underneath the stairs, with a ribbon like a necktie and dust in all its hairs. I fed it one clean sheet, said give me something grand. Then 3 keys met in traffic and refused to leave the jam. Click, clack, click, clack, the little carriage cried. I hit the letter E and all the letters piled. Click, clack, click, clack, the bell went ding, ding, ding. The Q key quit its day job and blamed it on the spring. Oh, typewriter, typewriter, stubborn little band. You turn a simple sentence into modern art by hand. Click, clack, click, clack, then the ribbon starts to fight. I meant to write dear grandma, but it printed grrr, good night. The computer came along with a glowing little screen. Word processors promised edits neat and clean. No jammed up alphabet, no ink upon my sleeve. Just backspace, copy, paste, how rude to make me leave. They took the office kingdom, every desk and every chair. The typewriter kept a crown and pretended not to care. It muttered I was faster as the printer joined the fray, then jammed itself dramatically and took the rest of day. Oh, typewriter, typewriter, stubborn little band. You turn a simple sentence into modern art by hand. Click, clack, click, clack, then the ribbon starts to fight. I meant to write dear grandma, but it printed grrr, good night. Now we mostly use our thumbs on phones. Tap, tap messages, tiny tones. One hand holds the coffee, one hand sends a heart. Autocorrect writes duck when I was trying to write start. Click, clack, click, clack, ding. Machine, the loudest little deadline that the world has ever seen. Click, clack, click, clack, let the jam key sing. You made a mess of every page, and that's a beautiful thing. Click, clack, click, clack, the carriage rolls away. Thumbs may rule the future, but you still steal the day.